Hello and welcome, my name is Ajaxpost and you join me here once again in Transport Fever 2 for the Island Hub series, and we are looking again at Hong Kong Freight Airport, which we rejigged ever so slightly in the last episode. Actually made several changes around this, including a brand new freight line, because half this freight, in fact these red planes which appear to be dominating the airport at the moment, they were going to Port Moresby, sharing the airfield with a passenger service, which we split out now. So we've got a separate airport in Port Moresby and also in Hong Kong, or near Hong Kong, and a totally separate freight airport which serves, well, it's only serving Port Moresby at the moment, although there is another line here which is going to Erawan, but that is shipping out machines from this Hong Kong island up to the, well, down, because this is the north end of the island, down to the far end of the island at Erawan. It's just shipping machines there, though we might be changing that. Now what I want to do here, and this is going to be one of the main sort of speed build sections of this episode, is moving forward with my plan to get every city supplied with not just passengers but also freight and cargo. Well, they are much the same thing, I suppose. Are they the same thing? Little semantic question for you, vocabulary question for you, if you feel like, you know, thinking about it. Is cargo and freight the same thing? Not entirely sure. Anyway, Hong Kong, getting on to the subject, is getting nothing at the moment. So what I'd like to do, because these red planes are going back and forth between here and Ajaxima, the Ajaxima Epic MMX, the freight hub at Ajaxima. So they might as well serve both cities of Port Moresby over here, which has got a new freight train line, and also Hong Kong. So we'll be adding that into our loop here shortly. But something else I was looking at, I've done a number of off-camera changes and replacements of old vehicles. But I noticed one of our oldest train services at the moment, it's not the oldest, is the Ajaxima to Chengdu line. It's got these 17-year-old trains running here. They're doing okay. 4.5 million profit. Who's going to complain about that? Not me, for sure. But we are seeing a large number of passengers here at Surat, which is in the middle of the route. One of the very few routes on our map here which goes to 3 stations, which goes to Ajaxima, Surat and Chengdu. Most are point-to-point from Ajaxima to one other city. But I also noticed in Ajaxima itself, the central station here, yeah, it's got 181 waiting there as well. So I think, and looking at the fact that we had a train that had sort of just left, I've lost my trains. Yeah, which train are you? You are that, yes, so you've just left with 106 on board. And there's still 191 left, so I think we can upgrade and increase the capacity of these trains. If not, add a third train on there, because it is quite a long route. Well, it's not enormous in Transport Fever terms, to be honest, but in terms of this map, it is one of the longer routes. And the fact it's serving 3 cities as well, I think we need to address that. So these trains, what are they? If I put you, well, I'll put you there. And you here. So you are going at 62. Unfortunately, that is still the maximum speed of our passenger wagons. Our locomotives, in fact this locomotive here, the Russian SU, does go at 71 miles an hour, I think, is it? We'll see that in a second. So they are limited by the wagons to 62. And yeah, I mean, that's a mediocre performance there. That does take quite a while to get to top speed. So I think a third train might be the best solution here, in fact, which is nice because we always like to see a busy line with lots and lots of trains running along it. So we might try that. But anyway, let's see if we can improve these vehicles at all. So we're going here. So that is the Russian SU. And if I go here, I have already got it sorted by top speed when I came into this recording. So that's it there. It's our fastest locomotive at 71. It's one of our more powerful ones, 1200 kW. The only other one which is significantly more powerful than that, oh actually we've got this one, that goes at 53, as indeed yeah, the biggest, bulkiest, the most, the brawniest, the most muscular locomotive we've got is the FD, which is pretty much twice the power of the SU. But I do want speed, so I think 62 on a passenger line. I think we're going to do that. We might cut down the number of wagons per train though, and just increase the overall capacity of the line. So we'll put another one of you back on. And these cargo wagons, you're the Oha 90, what was it? 9680. So let's have a look at these. So which ones are you? It looks like, are you in this range? 9680 was it? No, it was indeed. So you go 62 and oh, that's a tsunami. Is it not you then? Is it a different set of trains altogether? Yeah, you got 59, you're not much good to me. The Suburban, you carry 19, whereas these do carry more. They carry, yeah, 24. I think we'll stick with these, to be honest. So third class brake van, we'll put one of you on. And you're just a standard third class car, so we'll put another one of you on. So that gives me 120, which is more than the capacity it's got already actually. So what's the alleged performance of this one? 62 in 97 seconds, which is a bit better. Must have had a mix of different wagons on there which didn't have the same capacity, so I think we'll stick with that. So we'll replace both of you for 18.5 million. Okay, and your performance apparently it's much the same. Yeah, okay, let's put another one on there. Let's clone one of those. There you go. And where are you? You're coming out of that depot there. Click on it. There you go. You're coming out of there. There he comes. And you'll be picking up, yeah, a good number of those 190 people waiting. That's good. Okay, so that should solve that problem, I think. So we will let that be and let that run on. One other little thing I've actually done here as well, off camera, we've been building up our tools capacity here. It's getting ridiculous. So I did bump up in the previous episode the capacity of this train, which takes the tools to the freight hub here. I've added another train on there entirely because, yeah, there is obviously a lot of demand for these tools. And it needs to be shipped. They need to be shipped, so that will deal with that. Anyway, this Hong Kong cargo delivery system, we have a train which is taking, there it is, the steel from here, which is this train here. Are you? Well, you're not running at a profit, which is disappointing actually. That is very disappointing. What is your maximum speed? Is 50. I mean, you would have thought that would have been fine for this sort of route here. But what I'm thinking is we could multi-purpose this train so it brings back goods for Hong Kong from the airport here. So they could be flown in either from Ajaxpost or indeed from Erawan. Because the game loves to mix and match freight going in all sorts of different directions if it can get to wherever it needs to be. The question there is do we extend this train line for this to go into Hong Kong, or do I put on a truck route? I'm thinking, to be honest, trucks, I think. Otherwise, I mean, this train could spend a lot of time tootling about, and there's not going to be a great deal of traffic coming back out of the airport to start with, ordinary sort of consumer demand as we've got in Hong Kong. So I think if we put a few trucks in here, that will save me the cost, I think, of setting the route up. So that's what we're going to do. I think we've got enough space there, just about, to put in a road, a fast country road to get into Hong Kong. Hong Kong demands are, they're not great, but I think they should boost the demand there and make Hong Kong grow again. Yeah, it's starting to sort of tail off a little at the moment. So we will do that. So I'm going to stop talking, hand over to the speed build, a little bit of a soundtrack, and I will be back with you in a couple of minutes' time with a brand new freight route, a combination of train and truck to get goods into Hong Kong. Well, not just goods. Goods is a very specific cargo, isn't it? I tend to use goods as a catch-all term, just like cargo or freight, which I shouldn't do because that's confusing to the casual listener, perhaps. Anyway, I'll see you again in a couple of minutes' time. Well, that's all set up and ready, I think. Good job I made that final check to make sure that our truck station here is actually connected to the train station. Otherwise, any train coming back from the airport carrying lovely goods and cargo and freight and stuff simply wouldn't transfer it to the trucks that are heading into Hong Kong eventually. Yeah, that would be very disappointing, a waste of money. So we've rejigged the steel train using NAFI wagons. They're a little less capacious, but they go a good speed still, and they carry anything and everything. So anything that does come into into Hong Kong airport, I've got Ajaxpost on the mind. Oh, there's lots of blue aircraft. Actually, did I say up front when I started this that I've actually put a second cargo terminal in here so that the two lines actually go to different terminals in an attempt to, yeah, as you can see there, kind of speed up the cargo transfer and give a slightly better capacity on the airport itself. Yeah, that's always a bugbear of mine, I'm afraid, at the moment. But the planes are getting through okay. And hopefully we will start seeing... It will take some time for the airport to recognise that goods need to be sent into Hong Kong. And we should see stuff going into Hong Kong and that town growing as a result. I've also noticed that we have now passed into 1945. And I don't know about you, but I didn't see any new vehicles coming up at the top of my screen. Very annoying. Yeah, very upsetting indeed. This is our brand new train, I think, that we put on this line. Yeah, just 4 months old. And you are about to take 192 tools out of the tool factory. Still leaving over 300 there behind. Hopefully that will help. Actually, I can check that, can't I? Here, so the factory itself is producing 400. And the line has a rate of 457, so it should cope with that. So it should eventually eat into any overloading at that station. Anyway, I was looking at something else we could do for today's episode, and I was thinking I want to get Rangpur developing because the industry around here is suffering a little bit. The plastics factory here isn't getting much supply. So it's not shipping much out to the goods factory here, although it's getting a fair amount of steel from over here somewhere, yeah, near Baghdad. So it's not getting enough goods out of here to ship into our network. And likewise, our food factory here has only got, I think, one farm really supplying it. There's some stuff coming up in a roundabout way from Baghdad and Turpan farms. So I'm thinking I want to get more production up here and getting Rangpur developing. It's getting a modest amount of supply, particularly food, obviously. But what I'm thinking, we're going to attack this in two ways. We're going to feed more grain into our food processor here, in addition to this factory here, and also I'm going to replace this ferry route here, which is lovely. I mean, it's a lovely way of organising it, and it seems kind of realistic. In fact, that line is making a modest little profit. Oh, did that turn 100,000? That is a very good profit, actually, on there. But is the train service... That's also profitable now. It is picking up. But I think we could do with better and faster train transport. So what I'm going to do is replace that ferry and that little electrical train link between Dien Bien Phu and the dock. I'm going to replace that with a big and impressive train line going over the bay here into Rangpur. So we're going to see a couple of things done in this next section of speed build. We can have a small new route set up to get more grain into the farm here. Into the food processor there. I could do it from here, I suppose. How much? We've got grain stacking up there. Are we taking most of that away? We are taking most of that away on that train. And there are 2 trains on that route. So we could do that there. We could expand that farm. Or we could put in a new farm somewhere else entirely. Actually, I'm thinking Turpan here. It's something. Did I mention this in the last episode that I noticed just looking at the results of the results of the last couple of episodes? Is that farms only produce 200, whereas some raw materials like the oil well produce 400, and that 200 is a limitation on the food processor, which needs 2 inputs for every 1 food coming out. So I'm thinking actually we could have, that might be good actually, a new route, although this train station is a bit of a mess, isn't it? Or is it actually? Let's have a look at our lines going around here, just the ones in view. It's a bit of a mess, yes, because we've got the passenger line going straight through the middle of it. Yeah, so I'd have to redo it again, and that's awkward to do because of the gradients, the tunnels and so on, so that might take some more work to do. Oh no, the red line is a freight route. Sorry, yeah, that's the Conmat. Well, actually, it's more than Conmat now. From the freight hub, so we could actually, it wouldn't be too much of an upset, put more grain going in here. I think we should do that. Okay, so we're going to rejig our line here slightly and then bring more food up here to be sent into the food processor up there. Okay, I think that kind of makes sense to me. Okay, so yeah, as I was saying, we will now get into the speed build section, so I'm going to stop talking, hand over to the soundtrack, and I will see you again in another few minutes' time. And that, I think, is the job done. Yeah, we've got an existing bus route, obviously, within Rangpur, which was previously servicing the dock there, the bay at the port, which I've left in place just in case I find a good use for it. I mean, it's a nice little feature. Nothing is serving it at the moment, so I'm paying maintenance for no good reason. But I might bring it back into use for some reason. But the one on the outskirts of Dien Bien Phu, it was just in the way of the new train line. So that one did have to go. I was tempted to use the suspension bridge for this rather exotic route across the bay and over this lovely wooded island. But I thought we've got the suspension bridge in use at the other end of the map. And we don't want to overuse it, do we? And I think this new... I think this might be a little bit modern for 1945. But I'm sure that will do very nicely. But while we're looking at this line, we need some new trains. We've got an existing small electric loco on there at the moment, which is you. So in fact, if we look at these all together, so what's your details? 62, oh, you're quite a good speed. 36 capacity. I'm hoping that will increase once we got this line on here. Once we get this line underway. Now this is an unusual line because it doesn't go into Ajaxpost and neither does it sort of stop en route in Dien Bien Phu. I mean, keeping to my sort of conceit of this map, I mean the train coming into Dien Bien Phu from Ajaxpost would carry straight onto Rangpur. So this is a slight oddity in terms of line arrangement, but we'll see how it works. I may change it up so it is one continuous line from Rangpur into Dien Bien Phu and then on to Ajaxpost. But we'll see how that pans out. Anyway, this train here, can we replace you with another really good multi-unit electrical thing? Capacity 70. Ooh, yes. You're quite good, aren't you? What am I actually running at the moment? The Nanki Moha 2001. So it's one of you. Yes, one of you. 62, 600 power. You've got this... hang on. No, you've got the same power. But you're... double the length and double the capacity, so I'm suspicious that one won't take off quite as quickly as the little one does. Whoops, don't go in quite so fast. There you go. And you are much the same thing, but slightly lower capacity. Slightly more capacity. You carry goods as well. We don't need that. And what date? You're 1914. As opposed to 1929. We could use you. We've not used you anywhere else, I don't think. So yeah, let's try you then. If I replace you, will it do it? Oh, it does. Excellent. We'll leave it like that for the moment. We may well add another train on there, because although it's a reasonable length route, I don't know how much traffic there's going to be between those two towns. But now that Rangpur is more easily accessible, you don't have to change for the ferry, we may see more passengers, so this may need to have another train on there. We shall see. Okay. Shall we have a look at you in more detail? Let's focus on you. There you are. Oh, you do look quite old, but you are quite... Yeah, I like you. And that looks like it might be Japanese text, or it might not be. Well, that certainly is, isn't it? It's possibly a distinction between first and second, or second and cattle class, third class, I don't know. We shall see. Oh, you're quite noisy though. You are quite noisy. You sound as if you're sort of a tin wrapper on metal wheels with an electrical motor in there as well somewhere. Nice. I think. So how many passengers are going to pick to take up over the bridge? a few. Anyway, I'm going to pause that for a second because we'll watch it as it takes off and goes over the bridge. A bit of a cab ride on that. But in the meantime, I will say thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Transport Fever 2. I hope you've enjoyed this. If you have, it would be great to hear from you. A little bit of a like would be lovely. Even better, if you've got something to say about what I'm doing with the game or the game itself, that would be awesome. Other than that, of course, if you've not already subscribed to the channel, you could do that now, and that way you'll be notified, especially if you click that little bell thing. I think that's how it's supposed to work. That way you'll know when I upload another one of these or any of my other Let's Play series. But from me, Ajaxpost, here in Transport Fever 2 on the Island Hub series. Until the next time, bye-bye for now.